all are different. We all have different life circumstances. And so there's not really one size fits all recipe for how to make time for practicing art in your life, because we have so different lives. So I'm sure that there's some other people here that could have some very good ideas or hacks or like go-tos to share about how to squeeze in some art in life. So that would be nice, but it's of course completely optional. So that's going to be a little bit of sharing circle, and then we're going to round off the call. I'm sure time is going to fly. So that's what I have on my mind. So first of all, once more, what I'm going to share now is basically some thoughts to, find your own answer to these questions that I'm trying to answer for myself, from my life situation for you. So again, there's no pressure. It's not about getting to like pressure yourself to do more art necessarily. It's more about, finding your sweet spot and finding an art practice that's very joyful. So I'm already starting to spin off a little bit here, because there's a subtopic to this that is about that making art and having art taking up some nice space in your life. It's not really only about making art. It's also maybe about enjoying art or reading about art or dreaming about art. There could be so many things. And I can see some people are writing. That's a really good thing. I really recommend to take some notes, also for when we start the journaling session. And before I start, I'm just gonna see what people are calling in from. So we have people from Canada and India, a few from Denmark and Serbia and US. So we have quite a few Danish ladies here today, and a Danish gentleman as well. Hello to everyone. Okay, so again, just final reminder before I start venting out on my own thoughts into my own thoughts here is everyone's situation is different, and what we're going to kind of workshop around today is all about finding your personal way. And that's, of course, a moving target, because life constantly changes and we change and so on and so forth. So it's all in motion. But anyways, I have a few points that I thought I would muse a little bit about here. It's some of the bigger questions in life, really. But also we can take these questions and apply them to our art making to get to know ourselves a little bit. So these questions, it's just one word, each of them, and then a question mark, I guess. It's your when. You can write that down. It should be really easy to write down. When? Like, when am I going to make art? I'm going to come back and use a little bit about that. And then what? What kind of art am I going to make? And how am I going to make it? And why? That's the big one. You can put that in capitals. Why am I going to make art? I guess that's what we need to really, how do you say that in English again? I don't know, spell in neon. I think you would say that, right? With big neon letters, your why. Why am I making art? We talked about that a little bit last time in the, what did we call that session? Building confidence and silencing your inner critic session, where we talked a little bit about the play small monkey or play small monkey, and the one we call the Jantelås abe in Danish, for those of you who are here in Denmark. And the other critic that is more like our friendly inner art critic. So it's building a little bit upon that, I guess. But the why is important. I'm going to come back to all of them. And then if I don't forget, I'm also going to prompt you to, in context maybe to these questions and your personal answers to them, to work a little bit with affirmations for it. You can write those down on cards maybe, or just make some art with these, like lines included or whatever. But that's just that's just a suggestion. Okay, so let me go over these. I'm just gonna muse a little bit about it, and you can muse along the way, but you're gonna have 10 minutes time to do that later in the call. So let's go through them. So let's talk about when to make art. So when do we make art in busy life? And again, there's no cookie cutter answer to that at all. We're so different, and life is different every day when we wake up. So there's no like recipe for it. But some things that could be good to question yourself or muse about or like ponder is when, in terms of like the clock, when do I have a little bit of peace to make art? Is it in the weekdays? I'm just raising more questions here, I know. But is it in the weekdays? For some, maybe that would be the case. Or for some, maybe it's more in the weekends. Is it in the mornings? Is it in the middle of the night? For some, maybe that would be the case. I don't know. I sleep when it's night, but not everybody does that. Some people are very awake at night and have a good time there. So when in the day or night, it's when during the week. And then, of course, how big chunks of time is it realistic to dedicate to making art? And here again, for me, that these are all very open-ended, especially the how much time. That's something where I do many different things. For example, and it taps into many of the questions. For me, it's very, very important to have a sketchbook in a size that I feel comfy with or comfortable with. That's my like, I don't know, rescuing raft or whatever you call it for getting to make some art at all. That's my A4 sketchbook, and A4 is not like a magical format in any way. I just I think we were all, at least in Europe, we were handed out. In other countries, it might be another format. We were handed out A4 paper since we were little children. So I'm so wired to the A4 format that I have a hard time sketching on anything that's larger or bigger than that. So that's the reason for my A4 sketchbook. It's the only format I can really, that I can like relate to somehow. So that's a really important one for me. I carry it around in many places, also without even drawing in it at all. It's just nice to have it there. In fact, recently I replaced my phone with my sketchbook just to carry something around. And then instead of opening the phone, well, why not just open that sketchbook and put the phone away? But that's a whole different topic, right? But it works. It actually is very, very nice. And I think most people here are old enough to remember life before the smartphone. So you probably can relate. I'm experimenting these days actually with replacing my smartphone with like analogous things that I used to carry around, like a book, or could be a sketchbook or whatever. So when I have this like urge to fiddle with something, why not open the sketchbook? But that's just me spinning off here a little bit. But that's what it's all about. And then you can spin off in your own directions as well. So, but that's about the small patches of time, like squeezing in maybe some drawing time in the sofa or wherever. And then there are the bigger chunks of time. And I think here maybe my life is a little bit different from some of your lives. But then again, I don't know, it's just some thoughts. So I create mostly when I'm at work, of course, because I film art lessons, and that's when I get to create the most. That's when I'm actually making the lessons. So that's typically during daytime in the weekdays, and in the weekends I tend to do other stuff. Basically, even if I really wanted to paint a big, fantastic painting or whatever, I do need to rest my hands and my neck and all that. So there's so many things tied into this. but try to think a little bit about when is it realistic to make like these little things, like little sketches and stuff, and when and how is it realistic to squeeze in some time on some bigger projects? That's just some thoughts. It's just some prompts here. Again, let me see. So that's the when. It all ties into each other, of course. So, but let's move on to the what. So when, that's basically about looking at the watch, what time of the day, what time of the week, how big chunks, and so on and so forth. I guess the what, in my mind, is a lot about, so we're moving on to the what here. So the what is about making it attractive to get to work on your art, doing something that you actually want to do or enjoy to do. So it's a really good question to ask yourself, for example, what do you actually enjoy making when it comes to art? Is it, it could be 10 different things, 100 different things. Or maybe you just enjoy doing graphite sketches, then why wouldn't you just dedicate all your time to that? Or maybe you enjoy to hop a little bit from flower to flower and do a little bit of everything now and then. And so it's really important to get a little bit, not clear on that maybe, but conscious about it. So what do you actually enjoy making? Both, I guess, in terms of motifs and what substrates do you enjoy working on? What materials do you enjoy working on? And then comes the second question that's a little bit of the antidote to that. And that is adding a little bit of a challenge because we do want to grow and we don't want to get bored. And we all want to grow and evolve in our art. That goes for me as well. It's not something that goes away when you're an art teacher. I guess maybe on the contrary, because I live with a certain pressure over my head on performing and not making ugly lessons and so on and so forth. Like people like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. So don't mistake it like that. I don't have this kind of pressure or things that I feel like, oh, I really wish I was better at that because then I could this. But if you want to get better at something, you have to walk the line, right? You have to squeeze it in somehow in your art making, or sometimes really dedicate an hour to, okay, in this hour frame, I'm gonna do something I don't know how to do. And it's okay. I mean, it's maybe it ends up in the trash, or maybe I make a folder that's dedicated to experiments. So it has a label, says it's okay, that it's ugly or whatever. But try to find a balance between making something you know how to do, that you really relax with and enjoy enjoy to do. And then, of course, also challenge yourself to do the stuff you want to get better at. But that's just some things to think a little bit about in terms of the what. I could talk a lot about all of these 5 topics, of course, and time is flying. So, but and then let's move. So let's move on to the how. That's a big one too. So how on earth are you going to make that art? Like, where are you going to make it? Is it going to be lying on the sofa? Is it going to be in your big, amazing studio, if you have one? Or is it going to be on the kitchen table? Or is it going to be something third or fourth or whatever? Probably it's going to be a combination of that. I just mentioned that I bring my sketchbook everywhere and I don't sketch a lot in it. This disclaimer here. I really don't sketch a lot in it, but I carry it around anyways, and it's my good friend. And it says on the front page, Ida's sketchbook, and it reminds me to do art, even if I don't do it. So I bring that everywhere. And then, of course, I have my room, that is my studio. It's just a small room in a very normal house. It used to be a table in our bedroom. It was that for more than 20 years. Finally, I have an actual room now where I have the art studio going on, but it's on a very normal table. It's not very big, and it's quite humble in many ways. So don't let any outer circumstances hold you back, right? But it's important to analyze, I guess, a little bit how am I going to handle this? For example, for me, it's super important not to put my art materials away. If I put them into a closet where I can't see them, or like just put them away, clean up too much, I'm never going to make any art. So I need to see my materials in order to get to do anything at all. So I like, for example, for the carry around the house kit, to have some art materials that's typically drawing materials on a little tray that has a good size for pencils and erasers and stuff. And so it could also be a tray with watercolor pencils, for example, and some water brushes. That would be a super good go-to kit for making something in color. So that for me makes it possible to just grab some materials and do something. I have them out in the open. It's very messy. But anyways, it's just to put out some inspiration here. It's all about you thinking about what does it look like for you? What's your reality? Yeah, so how that is about, how do I make it easy for myself to actually get started making art? Probably a combination of something portable and something that is more a stationary setup. But really try to think about that and what's your reality? How can you improve it? How can you make it easier for yourself to start an art session? Also the little ones, the 5-minute ones, without your first thought being, okay, but I only have 5 minutes for making art, and it takes 10 minutes to pull all this stuff out. And before I even get started, time's up and I need to go. That's not a good situation, right? So try to really think about that and see how you can develop that for yourself. And okay, then let's get to the big one. And that would be the why. Why do you make art? Or why do I make art? Maybe it's super hard to answer that question, but here are just some little, I don't know, little words of inspiration. As for many of us, it's all of it, or like a unique combination of it, and can be really hard to say. But is it for the pure joy of it? Is it because you just really enjoy making art? It makes you happy? That could be, but it's not necessarily so. Many of us, I guess, feel super challenged when we make art, and rather frustrated, that is. But that can be a good thing too. I mean, it's also frustrating to do a long run or something in the rain, but when you come out of it and come home after you take a warm shower, you feel super invigorated and good about your having done it. So I guess that's a little bit the same with art in many cases. At least it is for me. Sometimes the reward comes after I make art. Someone is having some noises in the background. I think you might know yourself who it is, and please do mute yourself. So is it for healing? Could be for many. For some, is that an important element? Then that's really important to recognize as well and honor. Or is it for sharing? Is it because you enjoy sharing art with others? All these three are relevant for me, all three of them. I do create both because I enjoy it, some of it at least. I do definitely create for healing. Maybe I wasn't always conscious about that, but it sure is a component. It sure is, or like a reason for me to create. And is it for sharing? Yeah, definitely. For me, it's for sharing. For me, it's a big why, because I have so many thoughts going on about why is it important to do this or that in general. Like, why wouldn't I just go and save the world and all that? So for me, sharing what I make in a meaningful way is one of my big whys. And I guess it's why I ended up doing online art lessons, because it feels meaningful to create my art in that context and share it like that. It's usable and can bring joy to other people on many other levels than I can even imagine. And it could be the sharing could be many things. It could be sharing with friends on social media. I know that we discussed that at some time. I can't remember when that was. But there are definitely people who check in the group and see if their friends created some new art and if they can rejoice in that and comment on it and take part in that like interaction and so on. I heard from people in the group sometimes and I have that myself, of course, that if someone I've known online for a long time haven't posted anything for a long time, it sure makes me wonder, okay, so what's where is she? How is she? Is she okay? And so on and so forth. So it's also a community thing. It's on so many levels. But sharing can be many things. And if sharing is a thing for you, you can step a little bit deeper into it. Is it for giving your art away or selling it? Could be many things. When I was younger, I had a tendency to give my art away. I've given a lot of art away. Some of it, I really wished I still had it, at least a photo of it, but we didn't take any pictures back then. So I don't have it. At all. But I enjoyed giving it away and felt good about that. And people got happy when they received it and so on. So that can be a big thing too. And so on and so forth. You can find more reasons on your own, but it's really, really important with the why. In the end of the day, it's about the why. And I guess the when, what, and how are only, what can we say? I don't know, means to get to our why somehow. I'm not sure if that's the right way to say it, but as you know, I'm making it up as I go. So that are some thoughts from me that relates to me personally, and maybe it has inspired you to think about your own when, what, hows, and whys. So I thought.